Good day, everyone. We are the Group 2, and we are presenting our research, which is entitled Relationship between Student Motivation and Student Achievement of Bachelor of Technical Vocational Teachers Education, major in Computer Programming. So let's proceed. So our group members is Cyril San Andres, and yours truly, Joshua C. Aguatani, Paril Paril, and Gabriel Justin Mandap. So and what is the objective of our study is to define if there is a relationship between student motivation, which is strive for the success and general weighted average of the student for their achievement. So why we choose and what is the relevance of the study? We choose this topic because motivation is the key for the students to able them to acquire their goals and achievements so that the researchers want to see if the motivation of the student of Bachelor of Technical Vocational Teacher Education, major in computer programming, has a relationship on their general weighted average or GWA for their achievement. So, our statement of the problem. This study, researchers investigated the relationship between student motivation and student achievement. In particularly, researcher answered these research questions relating to the students in BTBTED, major in computer programming. First, what is the demographic profile of BTBTED students, major in computer programming, in terms of age, sex, and year level? So, number two, what is the general weighted average of the students of Bachelor of Technical Vocational Teachers Education, students, major in computer programming? So next, and third, what is the level of motivation exists among the student of BTBTN? BTBTN students major in Pro. And eight is it is intrinsic, B, or it is extrinsic. So fourth, is there a significant difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation of BTBTN students major in Pro? And fifth and lastly, is there a significant relationship between student motivation and student achievement of BTBT Ed students major in computer programming? So our study design, sample, data gathering procedures, and tools. This paper shall employ a quantitative research design following a correlational approach. 51 computer programming majors were chosen from this quantitative data as a sample, and researchers will have a questionnaire with three parts that close-ended questionnaire with the 15 items. And researchers forwarded the questionnaire through messaging platform like MS Team, Google Email, and the 51 participants were surveyed about motivation. And our statistical treatment use, researcher use a frequency and percentage on the Google form summary to determine the demographic profile of BTPT and Compro, major in computer programming. And in getting the significant difference of the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, researcher use a descriptive statistics to get the mean of each variable. So to get the t-value, researcher use a t-test. And to get the p-value, researcher use regression. To test the hypothesis, the researcher used correlation with a significance level of 0.05 probability to determine the significant relationship between intrinsic extrinsic motivation to general weighted average of the students.
Let's continue. I am Paril Carl. This is our table 1 frequency of percentage of the age. And as shown in the table 151, or 100% are belong to youth age bracket, and 0 or 0% are belong to the age bracket of children, adults, and seniors, which implies that all the respondents fall to the youth age bracket. It shows that those age are the one most aware of their motivation. Next is table 2, frequency of the percentage of the gender. And as the table 2 showed that there are 30 males or 58.50% and 21 or 41.0% female who participate in this study. It shows that the larger participants are male. And next is table 3, frequency of the percentage of the year level. In the table 3 showed that there 3 first year and 10 second year, also 36 third year, and last is the 2 fourth year. It shows that most of our respondents are third year students.
I'm Gabriel Justin Mandap, and let's continue. Figure 1, frequency and percentage of general weighted average. As the figure 1 shows, that 0 of the respondents they not getting fail grade. 3 of the respondents getting satisfactory of general weighted average. And 13 of the respondents get an average of general weighted average 1.5 to 1.9 general weighted average. Get the highest date. 34 respondents get the high average grades, and one of the respondents get an excellent grade. Next, table 4.1, frequency and percentage of the intrinsic motivation of the BTBT students. Question number 1. 49 or 96.1% said yes, and 2 or 3.9% said no. Number 2 question. 48 or 94.1% and 3 or 5.9% said no. Number 3 question. 45 or 88.2% said yes, and 6 or 11.8 said no. Number 4 question. 42 or 82.4% said yes, and 9 or 19% 17.6% said no. Last question. 46 or 90.2% said yes, and 5 or 9.8% said no. Next, table 4.2. Frequency and percentage of extrinsic motivation. Number 1 question. 42 or 82.4% said yes, and 9 or 17.6% said no. Number 2 question. 11 or 26.1% said yes, and 40 or 78.4% said no. Number 3 question, 25 or 49% said yes, and 26 or 51% said no. Number 4 question, 33 or 64.7% said yes, and 18 or 35.3% said no. And last question, 37 or 72.5% said yes, and 14 or 27.5% said no.
Let's continue. Before that, I'm Cyril A. Andres. And figure 2, mean of intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation of Bachelor of Technical Vocational Teachers Education major in computer programming students. So as can be seen in figure 2, the mean of intrinsic motivation was significantly higher on the extrinsic motivation. This similar to study of NIJU 2003 that mean intrinsic motivation with 0.662 was higher than extrinsic motivation with the mean of 0.20 with the n of 522. So a t value or t is equal to 1.94887 e minus 10, and our p value is is less than 0.019. Since the p value is less than zero point 0.5, we accept the alternative hypothesis that there is significant difference in the mean of each sample. Next, table 5, Pearson correlation and intrinsic to general weighted average. So and the intrinsic motivation was little or no relationship with the general weighted average of the bachelor or BTBT Ed major in computer programming student. And we see in the R value has negative sign. So therefore, there are negative relationship between this sample or intrinsic to general weighted average with the R value of negative 0.006237 and the P value or P is less than 0.96. Since the P value is greater than zero point 0.5, we accept the null hypothesis that there is no significant relationship of the intrinsic motivation towards to their general weighted average. Next, table 6, Pearson correlation of extrinsic motivation to general weighted average. So extrinsic motivation has later on no relationship with the general weighted average of the Bachelor of Technical Vocational or teachers education major in computer programming student with the R value of 0.167 and a P value of 0.91. So since the p value is greater than zero point 0.5, we accept the null hypothesis that there is no relationship of the extrinsic motivation towards to their general weighted average. So next. Conclusion. The researchers conclude that intrinsic motivation has little or no relationship to the general weighted average of the students of bachelor or BTBT-aid major in computer programming student. It means that students is less motivated to engage in an activity for own achievement. Same as extrinsic motivation that has little or no relationship with their general weighted average. It means that students of BTBT Ed major in computer programming students are less motivated on external award for their achievement. Recommendation: the findings of the present study open up the possibility of exploring motivation in different settings and from different perspectives. The data from this study can be used involve teachers, administrators, and parents into conversation about the relationship of motivation through their achievement. Possible future researchers might include the replicating the present study in including all grade levels instead of computer programming major students, including all level with will attract a larger population size and give a larger representation of variables for K-12 students. And that's all. Thank you.